What's up, friends? I'm Jonathan Miller, and welcome back to Jonathan Miller Music, where we help each other become better artists. I recently had the absolute privilege to see the icon that is Lady Gaga at the Mayhem Ball recently in Seattle. From ticketing to merch to the show itself, today I'm sharing my entire experience with you. So hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and leave me a comment answering this question. What is your favorite song from Lady Gaga? I look forward to hearing your responses. All right, let's get started. I bought a resale ticket via StubHub for the 100 section, and although my footage doesn't entirely reflect it, I had a great view. The ticket was an instant download, which is pretty much the only way I'm gonna buy resale tickets so that I can make sure I have the ticket long before I show up at the venue. I've never really had any issues that way, so if your only option to see your favorite artist is to buy a resale ticket, I highly recommend that you stick with an instant download. The ticket was transferred to me within minutes, and I walked right into Climate Pledge Arena without any problems, and my ticket was only a couple $100s with fees. I obviously wanted to get some merch because, believe it or not, this was my first time being able to afford to see Lady Gaga. But I use the term afford lightly. More on that later. I'm a sucker for good merch. I'm also an artist and a songwriter, so you know I'm gonna pick up a souvenir or two. The arena's website said that the merch trucks would open at 3 p.m., so I arrived at about 2 p.m. with my brain still thinking in terms of the Eras Tour and K-pop shows. And well, let's just say I was there very early. There were two merch trucks pretty close together, the official Mayhem Ball merch truck on the right side of the arena, and the venue truck that had a smaller selection was right outside the front gates. There was only about like 20 or so of us there, but they were hurrying along trying to set up as fast as they could, and they told us it would probably be an additional 30-ish minutes or so. So I decided to take a look around and snap a few photos. People's outfits were incredible already, and more would arrive as time continued. So shout out to everyone who dressed up. Now a quick shout out to this video sponsor, DistroKid. DistroKid is one of the top music distributors online, helping artists like you and me get our music up on platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, and more. For one small yearly price, you can distribute as much music as you can create without breaking the bank. DistroKid's got 3 membership plans for you to choose from, and depending on which one you decide is right for you, you'll also gain access to a wide library of additional features helping you to grow, promote, and manage your music career. One such handy feature is a quick and easy tool that makes it simple to get verified on Spotify. Getting that coveted blue checkmark on your artist profile is pretty important for a few reasons. The first obviously being that your fans are 100% sure that they're definitely supporting you and following you. Secondly, it's so much easier for you to add or remove music on your account if something happens like an accidental mix-up with another artist, which can happen from time to time. So simply go into your DistroKid account and hit Get Verified. Follow the steps, and then in a few days or so, you'll be verified and you can start checking out your streams, stats, and info within Spotify for artists. Use my special VIP link to save yourself 7% on your first year's membership with DistroKid. Link is in the description. At about 3:30 p.m., everybody sort of started to get in line, and since I was 12th in the merch line, I wasn't worried about anything. I chose to just stay at the small truck because they basically had everything I wanted, but even with people trying different things on, the lines moved really quickly, and the staff was so nice. Honestly, the arena staff inside and outside the stadium was great. They were super friendly, helpful, and just excited for everybody. I really have to compliment Climate Pledge Arena for that. I got my items, left to go have a snack at my hotel, and eventually came back to grab one more item at the big merch truck because there was no one in line, and that was about an hour before the doors opened. Getting merch was absolutely painless and a non-issue. Merch prices, however, I have a major issue with that. I'm sorry to everybody who's not from the US, but I have to hone in on the US dollar for this one. Let me get something very clear. I have zero issue with Lady Gaga or her staff or anyone on the tour. Lady Gaga is literally one of the greatest performers of all time. So any criticism you hear in this video is not with Lady Gaga herself at all. But the prices of these merch items were, frankly, excessively high. $125 for a hoodie, $50 for a shirt, plus taxes, plus tip, if you're generous, plus transaction fees, plus food, plus lodging, plus travel, equals a cost that is simply unacceptable, and I am directing that right at her record labels, Interscope Records and Universal Music Group. This is not a tariffs issue. This is not a, well, she is one of the best-selling artists of all time thing. It's not inflation. None of these items are exclusive to the Climate Pledge Arena or Seattle. It is purely capitalistic, so your profit margins are higher, and all of us down here know it. Now, this is part of a much larger issue I have with the music industry that could definitely be its own video, but this is part of what's making concerts and the concert experience more and more inaccessible. Sure, buying merch is a choice. You don't have to get everything. There are always ways to save money, but merch is also part of the artist's branding and the concert experience. Ticketmaster and Live Nation currently hold a joint monopoly on the ticketing experience here in the US, frequently allowing bots and resellers to snatch up tickets that should go to fans and resell them for larger profits, which is why you're starting to see less and less sold out shows when concert tickets are hundreds and hundreds of dollars, plus all these other expenses. Don't come into my live stream and be like, oh, why are there empty seats? It's because no one can afford it. It's not because the artist is bad. It's not because people don't want to see them. It's not because they're past their peak. It's simply expensive. The concert experience is becoming more and more an event exclusive to the wealthy elite. And both as an artist myself and a music consumer, I have a major issue with that. Again, you don't have to buy merch to be part of the concert experience, but you should have an affordable option too. I love Lady Gaga. I've been a fan of hers since the beginning, and I am lucky that I was privileged enough to be able to buy a few things. But I can also say that record labels need to get off their high horses with these merch prices and come back down to earth a little bit. While I did purchase the zip up hoodie that was $125 because I live in the Pacific Northwest and half of my closet is hoodies anyway, I can also be critical of that purchase as well, because plain and simply, merch should not be this expensive. I don't care what artist you are. I am an artist. I understand I am paying for the artist's likeness, branding, exclusivity, printing costs, shipping costs, all these sort of things. But if these price hikes are going to continue, artists signed to labels are going to be selling a lot less merch, which labels then in turn are going to view as a flop. And then artists in turn will receive less funding for their next release if they're even lucky enough to get one. Meanwhile, record labels just keep the rest of the money. So in short, those merch lines were actually pretty short for a reason. Again, not because Lady Gaga isn't an impeccably incredible, fantastic, show-stopping, amazing, never been done before artist, but it's because no one can afford anything. Music concerts should not be this inaccessible. Now, I'll get off my pedestal because you get my point. So putting that aside, the show itself was phenomenal. Lady Gaga is absolutely unreal and fantastic. We know this, and her mic is loud and on. Climate Pledge Arena is a much smaller venue, only holding about 18,000 people or so, but her voice fills every square inch. Her live vocals are just as incredible as ever. She probably interrupted her own singing to tell us to put our hands up like over 30 times, even when they were already in the air. Her athleticism running up and down the stage, up and down ladders, belting, riffing, everything is just phenomenal. The stage production as she moves between acts and the story of the whole thing is just exhilarating from the get-go. Forever the theater queen, the drama of the show is like you're watching a modern dark Broadway musical, but so much more beyond that too. Absolutely unforgettable from start to finish. Like I said, I have loved Lady Gaga since Just Dance came out. The way she revived singing and dancing in music videos during the recession and transformed the pop music scene and challenged social norms was incredible. Getting to hear those early Gaga songs was so fun, like Just Dance, Love Game, Poker Face, even Summer Boy. Not to make myself sound old, but 16-year-old John popped out for a little bit and screamed his head off. The Rainbow Sash debut in a progressive town like Seattle, her emotional speech before Vanish Into You, telling a story about a fan respecting her privacy the night before, the roars of cheers during Born This Way, her ungodly opening sequence of Bloody Mary, Abracadabra, and Judas was unbelievable. Lady Gaga is as effervescent and as memorable as she has always been. My only other minor issue was the transition between acts. Take this with a grain of salt because she's up there singing and dancing her butt off and obviously needs time to recover and change outfits because there are not a lot of ballads on this set list. But the lulls between acts were at some points a little too long in my opinion, and the resulting effect was that the hype and energy kind of dipped, at least in the upper area, areas. Not me, I was on my feet the whole time because I was excited for the whole thing. There were a couple times when the stage was so dark for so long that I was a little worried that maybe something had happened behind the scenes, or if that was just part of the show. Now, usually during these transitions, her background dancers are up there doing flips and incredible routines and continuing the story of the show when we do have those energy dips. And a lot of the times the stage screens themselves aren't doing much during the transitions. I mean, the side screens didn't really show her as often as I've seen in other concerts. So there was a couple times where I actually lost placement of where Gaga was on stage, which isn't bad. Like I said, it's a smaller venue, but it would have been nicer, in my opinion, if the screens, at least on the side, showed her a little bit more. Like, I thought it was really cool how before the show starts, you in the audience can actually scan a QR code that is hidden in the design of what you see on screen and write little messages up that appear on the big screen. Side note, but some of the messages were hilarious. It's great fan engagement. It makes the concert feel interactive. It boosts the energy. And we did see a little bit of that during Zombie Boy when some of the audience is featured on stage with like green eyes. But other than the transitions being slightly too long for such a high energy concert and the merch prices, the Mayhem Ball was fantastic. The surprise song being Fashion from Art Pop and How Bad Do You Want Me showing backstage was just so fun and cool. Lady Gaga absolutely knows how to put on a show. We know this. I highly recommend you grab a ticket if you can. And if you want merch, plan your budget accordingly because the Mayhem Ball is so much fun. Mother Monster made my heart so happy. And there's nothing else I can say. The Mayhem Ball by Lady Gaga is simply spectacular from start to finish.